Welcome into the start of Madden 25, and for us here on this channel, we're beginning at the end. Since April of 2023, 2 years ago, we've been doing the Madden States Only Challenge, and today we begin the final of the group of states in Mississippi and Tennessee. We started way back in California, and as you can see here on the map, we've done every single other one, all the different ranks, and it'll come down to Mississippi and Tennessee to rival the Carolinas for the top dog in terms of how quickly one of these states only has finished. So as we get started, quite obviously, there is one team for us to use, and it will be the Tennessee Titans, strictly uniform and stadium. And as for our head coach, we'll be using NFL Hall of Famer and Tennessee Volunteer legend Peyton Manning, or at least as close as we could make him here in game. No one's forehead rivals the great Peyton Manning. As for settings, we'll be sticking like what we normally do, considering this is mostly all sim based. We'll jump in a couple plays as we finished off the Midwest one for Madden 24. We played a little bit more than we typically do. We're gonna go back to the mostly sim version, all pro, because that's what Madden is best designed to run on. Now, as we begin, because it just came out and technically it really hasn't come out yet, early access here, I'm going to leave dynamic momentum and home field advantage on. If it turns out to be just as gimmicky as it was last year, we will end up turning it off. In addition, we will also be turning off pre-existing injuries. That way, every player that is available can at least start. Injuries will still be turned on, but pre-existing off. Additionally, progressive fatigue is also going to be off because at the end of the year, we want everyone out there playing. We ran into issues with that with the Midwest States Only Challenge because Madden turned it on after I had turned it off. But we want all the best players out there, not only for our team, but for our opponents. With those settings input, it's time to begin, and that means starting our fantasy draft. Now, if you are new to this series, to make it even more difficult for ourselves as we don't pick until spot 26, we've already probably had some players go, we do not leave every possible player up for us first. We have to draft all available players from one school first. So bringing up that spinny wheel, let's indeed spin it to find what school we have to draft from first. And as I look over at the side, it is Ole Miss. That is actually a really good spin for us. I was a bit worried that it would end up being like Southern Miss and we would miss out on some top tier talent. We'll still have some available for us in the top tier, but we are going to be missing out on some other really good players out of Tennessee and Mississippi State. And I've already ran into a couple issues where it is auto drafting for me, despite in the settings turning off the clock here. So I kept that on. I've had to restart a couple times. That's why we're now picking at 3. Not because I wanted to, but because it wasn't using its own settings. It's Madden, so just don't bother turning that off. Just come in here, pause the draft yourself, and hopefully that fixes the problem. And in a way, it did help us out a little bit. Ole Miss, AJ Brown is available. We originally picked, 26, I believe, and AJ Brown was not available. Who was available top for Ole Miss was going down the board a little bit here in Laramie Tunsil. So because we were originally not given the third pick, I am not going to go with AJ Brown. Despite him being a really good player, if we're going to get him, we're going to have to trade for him. Or if he's available, come our second pick, then we'll do that. But I'm going to go with the top player that we originally had before Madden did already its shenanigans. And our first player drafted is going to be Laramie Tunsil. He's a 30-year-old, so he's on the older side. We got to win a Super Bowl within 5 years. I doubt he's going to make it to 35, but for now, he is our top drafted player. Gonna really solidify at least one of the ends of this offensive line. And as we do get to that second round, indeed we do not have Brown. So there's something. Just again to make things even. Now, if you do your own fantasy draft, the first thing I say to do here as when you are looking at all players is it is not sorted originally by overall. It's scout status. That's probably a little bit more for when you're actually in a traditional franchise. So make sure that you are going by overall grade, just to help yourself out a little bit. As for our second selection though, we will be going with a receiver, DK Metcalf, an 86 overall. Already two really good players here for our offense. And on top of it, he's a superstar X factor. We just gotta find out what quarterback is gonna be throwing his way. That's actually a position that Ole Miss does not have a player currently in the NFL, at least showing up on my list. So just jumping down the board here, gotta find the first available quarterback for us. And it might end up being the Pastronaut in Joshua Dobbs, though there is another quarterback down the list here who I think some people would be pretty interested in. Hendon Hooker, maybe a little bit of a throwback, but I was thinking maybe someone who a lot of scouts were saying needed to move to receiver or tight end, maybe even some running back, a big boy at that, and Joe Milton III. Could be an option for us, but we still gotta go Ole Miss until we pick them all. And we might as well just keep the run going here on offensive players. Evan Ingram up next, our third pick. We'll go through again the top 5. That's an X factor at receiver, a superstar at tight end. And now I think we need to go to the defensive side, show some love there. So how about cornerback Mike Hilton? He's another one of the older guys. I want to say he's again 30 years old. So he might only be good for maybe 2 seasons. But we could definitely use some help at the corner. He's a normal dev, but he's still a solid overall. And how about for our final pick here together, let's go with Elijah Moore. Get a tandem going at receiver. He's got some good hands, needs to work on the route running, probably will be a slot player here for us, depending on what other receivers we get. But that will round us out. So from here, I'm gonna go through, fill out the rest of this roster, and in about 0.2 seconds, I'll see you with the full group, and then we'll get things going. And here is the team as we begin. There's a few highlights, and in fact, Joe Milton III will be our starting quarterback this year. We also have Nick Mullins as the backup if he does need to play. Vaughn and Evans are going to be the primary running back. We might see a little bit of Bolden as a power back, but really where the offense shines is going to be at the receiver and tight end spot. DK Metcalf, Elijah Moore, Jalen Hyatt, Jonathan Mingo, Sherfield, and Tillman round out that group. At tight end, we have Ingram and Dawson Knox. We have a really good 1-2 punch there. I chose a playbook that hopefully will utilize 2 tight ends. The offensive line is a massive question mark. There is Laramie Tunsil. He's the only solid player we have here, so we might have to make sure that Milton has the ability to scramble around. If we take a look at what his traits are, he is a balanced style. Now, he has some ability to run. We might make him a scrambler just so that he is moving around a little bit more, but we'll only adjust that as the time comes. Defensively, again, for the most part, it's a pretty light group with a couple key players. There is Hilton, who's going to lead our cornerback group. We also have Mollett, as well as Cameron Dantzler, who will play a little bit of some slot. You have DJ Jones. He's a solid DT down the middle. We will be running a 4-3, as you see. And then Sam Williams, probably one of the most promising young guys here on the defensive side. Safeties, big work in progress. Linebackers might be an okay group. Well, there's definitely going to need to be a lot of structuring happening throughout this series. The good news is we have a very good class here for our first draft, as I do not expect we're going to go one and done. We got a good handful of players here, a lot of potential undrafted to hopefully actually improve over the depth we have. But we have 3 round 1 talents, a round 1 to 2, 2 round 2 to 3s, a round 3 to 4, and a handful of day 3s. And honestly, there's only 2 position groups that we couldn't use an upgrade at, and that is receiver and tight end. So all of these options are fantastic for us. But that does mean that we will be saving our draft picks for the draft and not making any trades in season 1. Instead, we're going to use this year to develop some talent that we already have on roster. And perhaps maybe we end up pulling up some of these guys here from our practice squad. There are some decent options at some spots that maybe we'll see some rotation. So without further ado, I think it's very fitting that we jump into an NFC North match here as we transition from the Midwest to the Tennessippi States Only Challenge. I think that actually fits pretty well. So let's get on in here, week 1 against the Bears. And we are getting started on offense. So let's see here what Milton can do at quarterback behind a really poor offensive line and 2 X factors on the defensive line. Well, first, how about we get it out to DK? If he can dish that ball out quickly, well, that will definitely help out against, again, having a pretty lowly rated offensive line. We hand the ball off here, and it's maybe a gain of 1. Now, the Bears do have 3 X factors in their front 7, including Milano at linebacker. 2nd and 9, we got a receiver moving all the way around. We go back to the running game, and it is stuffed. Vaughn, 2 carries, 2 total yards. But perhaps might need a little bit more of some quick pass game as we do go spread here. Milton with some time, going down to the bottom and tipped away. Sherfield was well out of bounds. First drive stalls. In that case, we'll jump into the first drive here on defense. Chicago Bears starting at the 20. Stroud, the quarterback, hands it off, and it's a gain of 3. Not sure who the running back is wearing 1. I would think maybe ETN. No, it's actually maybe a 2. Or they have 2 different running backs. Either way, stop here for more. And as for our defense, really only Williams, the only main guy to really keep an eye on. He's going to be left end at the top. A little pressure from the DT, but it's caught for the first. Stroud finds Duvernay. And I don't know what kind of frog stance this is for the defensive line, but no one uses that, as it's a handoff immediately eaten up, but a flag also down. It looked like either way, it was going to be a loss on the play. We ended up declining it, making it a 1st and 20. Double A gap look for us as they hand it off and again swallowed up. And the running back is Spears. That's going to be a new name to remember. As it's 2nd and very long, Stroud up top. We'll find his receiver picking up for Devin Duvernay. Cameron Dantzler pushes him out of bounds, and we've got a 3rd and 16. Stroud lonely in the backfield here. Takes a shot downfield and jarring it free. Jackson. And he tried to find Duvernay often in that first drive. As we start our second drive, it's another pass to DK that somehow wasn't a first, despite it being a gain of 10. Vaughn will pick it up the next play. Now, one thing to notice here in this format here, this screen, there is no crowd noise. And it's an interception to Matt Milano. So Joe Milton tosses his first interception of his career. They take over just outside the red zone. Stroud a little bit of some play action. We'll have plenty of time. Eventually he will tuck and run for a gain of 3. Honestly, so far, pretty impressed with what the defensive line is doing. I was not expecting much from them. I just hate the stance animation, if you call it that. But a good stop down the middle, just a gain of 2, leaving 3rd and 5. Waiting to see someone on the outside or the DB group make a play. Theo Jackson did have the pass break up last drive, as it will be another pass here. Dantzler set on the blitz, but is wide open for their tight end. Noah Fant makes it 1st and goal at the 8. As they go with a play action, Stroud spinning, throwing, and nearly getting picked off. I believe Theo Jackson back again. Stroud trying to find Akins in the end zone. Couldn't hold on to it. We got time for one more play here this quarter. 3 tight ends to the bottom as they go with some more play action. Stroud rolls towards the top and throws it away. All in all, have to feel pretty impressed considering the overall talent on this team so far. 0-0 as we start the second quarter. Stroud, he lofts it up top and denying the diving touchdown. What a hit from number 10. I will have to check his name in a moment, but wow. They're keeping the offense out there though. At the half-yard line, Williams nearly jumps. They stick in the pistol look here, pass on 4th down, and touchdown this time. Chicago takes the lead. Stroud to Higgins. And as we Jump forward here past the midway point of the second quarter. Chicago is driving yet again. Still 7-0. Our offense just hasn't been able to move the ball. Spears shakes a tackle, keeps on his feet, and bursts forward for the first. That feels like a new Madden 25 animation for sure. It was fun to watch. Two spread either side here for Stroud as they're inside the red zone. Pass rush forces a little bit of a roll, and it goes straight to our corner, who's at the 30, 40, passing midfield. If he could just outrun, but will get dragged down, ran out of steam. But it's Tarvarius Moore with a big play for our defense, setting up our offense finally, scoring position. We've just got to make sure we don't mess it up. They bring the blitz, we throw it out up top, and how about one and done? First touchdown of the series goes to Jalen Hyatt. But that tie game may not last long. Two shots, both about 25 yards each, has Chicago back down around the 25. They're trying to answer back from that pick as Higgins has them down inside the 10. We know that there's a lot to work on with this defense. We've just got to hope we could make a couple turnovers throughout the year. That'll definitely help us out. First and goal, Stroud to the flat. We'll find his target. Once again, Devin Duvernay getting him down to the 5 for second and goal. Bunch up top for Stroud as he will roll, getting it out to Spears. Here comes a defender with a clean tackle. Will end up being a loss of 2. Third and goal now, as line holds up pretty well, but Stroud doesn't trust it, and he nearly slipped by the last defender. Ultimately, we will force the field goal attempt this time. They will not go for it. Kicking this one at the 14. It's a 24-yard field goal. 10-7. The score remains as we jump midway into the third. Chicago again into plus territory, but we bring the blitz, and it strikes home. Oren Burks with the first sack, maybe second sack already. We might have to dial up some of those different packages to get some pressure. Can't just rely on the forefront. Second and 17, and gonna pick up all the lost yardage plus some. Outside the one interception, Stroud has been dealing this one. Third and 3. You got two tight ends up top, two receivers stacked down below, but it's Spears getting stopped down the middle. But it looks like we've suffered a pretty big injury. The DT heads to the sideline as the field goal unit comes out here. Chicago makes it 6 points. With that, I think it's time we jump out here with the offense. Haven't seen much from them. Only drive that we've scored on has come way due to a near pick 6. We start with a nice pass gain of 7. And the team has struggled has just been consistency. Really, they haven't moved the ball past midfield by themselves. Second and 3. We hand it off to 23, and he does not pick up the first. Refs definitely not making it easy on us. I mean, look at where we are versus the line to gain, essentially dead on. But it will be a single back set. Handing it back off, getting to the outside, and just by the 40. And honestly, if we are going to have any success running, it might be off the left tackle, Laramie Tunsil. Works out well for us here as we continue our drive. Back down the middle, cutting towards the left and picking up 4. And now Matt Milano, he's shaken up on the play. He'll head to the sideline. A couple big injuries for both parties in this one. Second and 6, down to the bottom, finding a first down and a little bit more. Finally see our tight end have a little bit of an influence here. Ingram with a nice play. Haven't seen Dawson Knox yet, so might need to tweak around with some custom playbooks to try to force some 2 tight end sets. Not quite sure what Ingram's blocking ratings are, but I think Knox has some decent ones, and they might help us just block in general. With a final play here of the third, there's a strike to DK, sprinting down inside the 5. A nice way to end the quarter. We head into the fourth, a tight ball game here, 13-7. It'll be up to Joe Milton and the defense to secure a win, but we got to start with a touchdown here. First and goal, play action. Milton finds 85. That might be tight end 3, I believe. And indeed it is Yeboah. with maybe a gain of 1. We'll go back to a shotgun look here as they bring 5. Quick pass, touchdown, second on the day goes to Jalen Hyatt. He's starting off his season with a bang. And from here, with a lead now 14-13, we'll continue from this screen, see if our defense can get a stop as we do force a 3rd and 4 here. Chicago Bears get 4, just enough for the first down. With that, they then pick up 7 going back to Spears. 2nd and 3 knocked away. We've got another 3rd down at about midfield. Chicago knocked away by Mike Hilton. Do they punt from here? They do. Now here's a great instance of where I will jump in here because we are inside our own 2. Running my first play here, Madden 25. Well, how about a wide open lane for Vaughn? However, he gets up a little slow following that play, and he's actually gonna head through the tunnel. We're not that deep at the running back spot. Have a couple, I believe, on the practice squad. Might have to pull from there, as Milton will barely throw out of the sack. Jones lit him up. Luckily not a fumble. 2nd and 10. I would love us to try to run some clock here as we go play action, and he couldn't stay on his feet. This time it's Parsons. And I'll jump out here for 3rd and 16 then, letting the play clock run. As they bring some pressure, it's out for more, but the pass is just off the mark. We will have to punt it back. And I can't say it was our best punt either. Cook doesn't even get it by the midfield line, so starting in plus territory. Stroud goes up top, finding Duvernay yet again. That's been the hot target today. Kicks off their drive with a gain of 6, and then goes spread empty for 2nd and 4. As it's a quick throw up top. Gonna pick up the first down and a little bit more. Higgins. We're able to get a turnover earlier in this game. We could definitely use one now. Good news for us, though. I think our DT is back out there who got shaken up earlier. So that's all good news, but this isn't good news. Sprinting down to the inch line. Noah Fant nearly regaining the lead, and here's a flip for the tight end. Honestly, not sticking the landing, maybe a little bit fitting. But Stroud doesn't like the original look. He's going to send trips up top. Got Fant down to the bottom in a pistol set. We'll stick with a pass, and finding his diving target, it is Higgins yet again. And they actually ended up going for a 2-point try, and they failed. So this remains a 5-point game. And I will give it to the CPU to start. Might jump in, especially to try to control some clock. As we start with a handoff, and gonna pick up a few. No update yet on Vaughn, but I believe that was Bolton, the running back who took the carry. Now with Milton, he goes up top and he finds Ingram. First down. We are letting the clock run a little bit as well. I don't want to leave Chicago with much time. Because again, we don't have a very highly rated defense. Milton throws across the middle and we'll pick up a few to more. We'll let the 2-minute warning hit from there. Down 5, touchdown to take the lead. And it's a 2nd and 3. As we swing it out, that's going to be DK from the running back spot, losing 4. I will jump out with us here because we are inside the 2-minute warning. I want to make sure we utilize timeouts smartly as Milton will scramble for the first time today and slide down inside the 40. Now he does have a rocket arm. He's got to work on the accuracies. We saw a bad pass to Moore on the previous drive here. Looking for a big comeback as he just looks to scramble again, sliding down with yet another first down. Can't forget, many people wanted him to switch to tight end. He has some speed. Looking for more over on this left-hand side as it's out for him, and he catches up to it this time. Milton with a go-ahead touchdown to Elijah Moore. But our work not done yet on this drive. That only puts us up by 1. Trying to go up by a field goal now. 2-point try. Milton to the flat, and they do not give it to us. Ingram denied about half a yard at most. It'll then be up to the defense. 2019, 50 seconds left. Chicago does have 3 timeouts. Stroud trying to win a game-winning drive as it's tipped away. Now Aubrey, he needs the 42. That is well far away at this point, but honestly, it just comes down to one play. Could happen as we get some pass rush from the DT and forcing the throwaway. Williams steps up. Would love a week 1 victory here. 3rd and 10. 4 down territory, quite obviously. Stroud under pressure delivers a catchable ball, and it's going to be a 1st down. T. Higgins. He's had all of the touchdowns so far, though. CJ Stroud exits the game. There was a hit after the throw. We might have just saved ourselves here, though. Plenty of time to find a target, and then getting speared is Spears. Wow, that hit could have been devastating. Inside 30 seconds now. They still need the 42, about 15 to 20 away, and finding a catch for the 1st at the 45. They are 3 yards away from range. However, no timeouts remain. And there's a sack, split it from the 2 edge rushers. This is the final play here. No timeouts, knock away the pass, or just simply tackle them. It's a win in week 1. Joe Milton led the comeback, kind of Peyton Manning at head coach. A team that we were probably severely underrated to. The underdogs end up coming through, and the Tennessippi State-only challenge continues on 1-0. And it's a good thing we did get that win, because we did not follow up with the same caliber performance. In week 2, the Jets blank us 21-0. We did put up a good fight against the Packers. We'll check the stats on these quickly. Only 120 total yards for our offense against the Jets. What happened in this game? And that was with 3 picks on Joe Flacco. We did overthrow another interception here with Joe Milton. He completed only 34% of his passes, so I don't know if that was his accuracy drops. Obviously hard to tell when we're just jumping through some of these games. Pacheco had a really good game, as well as Gus Edwards. However, we did not see the same caliber of running. Receiving, Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie out of LSU, had a career day so far. 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Our best was Elijah Moore, 34 yards on 4 catches. Defensively, Alexander Johnson led us in tackles with 14, and we didn't put together a single tackle for a loss. We did, however, have some sacks. 2 for Sam Williams. We really need him to lead our defense. Split 1 between Cedric Johnson and Adam Butler. And then the interceptions, 2 went to Oren Burks. He actually won Defensive Player of the Week, and 1 for Mike Hilton. So defense still made plays, but the offense couldn't score. And against the Packers, it was better. We had 250 roughly yards offensively, and we just came up a field goal short, which they scored in the 4th quarter. All the scoring really happened in the 2nd quarter, the second half, a field goal apiece. As for the individual stats here, Jared Goff, 2 touchdowns, we picked him off. So we are forcing turnovers, about 1 a game, though we did complete just about 80%. Joe Milton was under 60%, and he threw 2 more interceptions. So he's definitely struggling with accuracies, turnovers. Do we put in Nick Mullins? I don't think so. I think we stick with Joe Milton and we rock him out for a year. As for the running game, it was slightly better here. Evans, 3.3. Milton did rush in a touchdown, so he was at least net even on touchdowns to turnovers. Receiving, Malik Nabbers, another rookie, goes off on us. 8 catches, 108. This time we didn't give up a touchdown. Elijah Moore still led us, 6 catches, 62 yards. Hyatt back in the end zone, so in 3 games he does have 3 touchdowns. And then we gave up 1 to Ferguson and Allen Robinson. And for the 2nd week in a row, Alexander Johnson again leads us in tackles. We actually had quite a few more tackles for a loss, though. Adam Butler with 3. He was the one that got shaken up in week 1. Seemingly healthy moving on. Cedric Johnson had 2, 1 for Burks and 1 more for Rakeem. As for the sacks, only 1 does go to Butler. And then the interception, 2nd for Mike Hilton. So as we actually have a really early season bye in week 5, let's jump into a quarter sim here against Miami to round out our first episode. And it looks like we'll be waiting till next episode to get our first home game. The first quarter so far 0-0, though we do take a lead with a field goal. So we'll get into the second quarter as well. Miami does finally take a lead, 7-3, and they slowly drive to double that by the time we hit halftime. 14-3, we'll jump through the third quarter here as well. As they're now up 28-3, we get a touchdown, and the fourth quarter arrives. We'll slow things down a little bit. Just to give you an idea of how these series work, we are into plus territory, 2nd and 9. A penalty will definitely help us out. We'll take it. Make it 2nd and 1st and 4, then another penalty back to us in the 2nd and 9. Yeah, so some weird things happening there. Expect it with Madden release. 3rd and 16, we do get 12. And again, I think this is a great opportunity to show opportunities that I will use to step on out here. 4th and 3, want to make sure we go for it here. As we roll, we could easily find the dump off here to Ingram. Get that first down, keep this drive alive. But we won't try to stay in charge for long. We'll give it back to the CPU to handle things here. All the tight ends up top. This will be a drop back pass. Pressure around the edge eventually hits home. 3rd sack on the day for TJ Watt. And it only makes sense he would be having a field day because I'm pretty sure their starting right tackle is sub 70 overall. 2nd and 20. Joe Milton will go down to the bottom and easily, yeah, that one's tipped away by Kendrick. Didn't look like there was a single person open down there. 3rd and 20, just inside the 35. As pressure gets around the edge, 4th and 26. Do we think we could hit a field goal from here? Well, we won't be trying it. Down by 18. Under 5 minutes left. It's 4th and 26. We will send the offense out there to go for it, and, well, it's a catch, but it's still a turnover on downs. Appreciate the effort, though, as the Dolphins well in hand here inside 4 minutes left. Looking for a stop from our defense. 2nd and 9, they get 4. Need a stop, and it is knocked away. Expect them to punt here, and indeed they do. So how about let's use the time we have remaining here to just play a little bit of some Madden 25. DK over on the left-hand side. Safety help over the top, and pressure arrives quickly. We handle ourselves week 1, but it doesn't seem like we've continued that into the following weeks here with this offensive line. Giving up a good amount of pressure. Milton steps up. He finds Ingram, puts on a nice little juke, and utilizes that tight end speed to burst past midfield. But I do think we could have something here in Milton. Reminds me of the Pacific Northwest States Only Challenge, where Gardner Minshew won us a Super Bowl. Pass across the middle, we find DK, who will pick up a nice gain down to about the 20. He has his skill players around him outside of a true running back, but tight end and receiver, it's all there for Milton to have a successful career. As he goes for Ingram here, it's tipped away. I do, however, like the one-on-one pass there. This wasn't as good of an attempt on the catch by Ingram. More to the left-hand side here, one of our shortest receivers on the deeper route, probably not going to work out. Check this one down to Evans, make it 3rd and 1. Well, Milton will stick with a spread look here, 3rd and 1. Maybe look for the quick stop to DK. Keep it on the outside, good spot on the throw. Obviously, we are playing on All-Pro, so the accuracies aren't going to be as crazy as they were, or would be, on All Madden. As we toss this one up for DK. Nice drive there from Milton with a minute left. That's just to pad some stats and have a little bit of fun here in Madden 25. But ultimately, it would end in a loss. So we start the season 1-0, and then we drop the next 3 to head into our early season bye 1-3. There's a lot of promise on this team, but there's definitely a lot of weak spots. And considering all the talent that we do have in this first draft class, again, not making any trades. And scouting is going very slow here. Again, at week 5, we are just hitting 10% on a majority of these guys, 20% on a few. There is a quarterback here in Kenny Arlington. out of Tennessee, so it could be a Tennessee battle here for quarterback. We'll see if he ends up looking like anything. Still might bring him in, even just for pure competition between Milton and Arlington, because Nick Mullen's probably not that. But there's a lot of possible help here for the offensive line. You got a tackle in Seth Covington, and then at guard here in the 2nd to 3rd round, Jeff Clinton, and then might as well even throw in the center here a day 3 in Mateo Aguayo. So again, considering about half of our offensive line is below 70 overall, it's very likely that each one of these guys, if we do draft them, very much could step in. There's also a lot of help we could use elsewhere. A lot of talent here, which is good news. But I'm excited to hear from you all what player you're expecting the most out of in this series, and what player not currently on this team you would love to see us bring in, because that could still happen. Probably not season 1, but into the next few seasons, because again, going 1-3, I don't expect this team to win the Super Bowl in 1 year. At least 2 years, where we could maybe try to piece together a little bit more here for the offensive line in an off season and bolster some of the defense. They started off the season really hot, but I think their true colors started to show a little bit more in the next few games. There is some talent there, but there's still a lot of work that has to be done. So make sure you stick around for the journey. Hit the bell icon on the bottom right, or scroll down to the sub button, and definitely tap that bell icon so you're notified of when these videos go live. This series will be every single Tuesday and Thursday. Every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday, College Football 25 with the Stanford Cardinal dynasty trying to rebuild a falling program. Hope to see you there as we continue on next time. We'll get into our first divisional game.